This is Kirsten Myers Story, about navigating breast cancer with clarity and courage. This series honours the legacy of Kirsten Myers, who faced her diagnosis with determination, deep research, and an unwavering commitment to living fully for her family. Across these episodes, we'll explore the different layers of her time with breast cancer: medical treatments, nutrition, exercise, complementary care, family dynamics, and the power of self-advocacy. We'll bring you intimate conversations with her loved ones and informative discussions with her care team and medical experts. This podcast shares the real stories, the lessons, the moments of strength and clarity. Our hope is that by listening to Kirsten's story, women and families facing breast cancer can feel supported, informed and empowered to make choices that reflect not just their treatment plan, but their values, their bodies and their lives. I'm Peter Birch, and this is Kirsten's story. And it's shared so that no woman has to walk their own path alone. This podcast is intended to honour Kirsten's legacy and provide information that may help others feel informed and supported. Nothing you hear in this podcast should be taken as medical advice. Everyone's situation is unique, and medical decisions should always be made in consultation with a qualified health professional. If you're living with breast cancer or supporting someone who is, please speak to your trusted healthcare provider about your individual circumstances. In this conversation, Pat reflects on the role of movement and physical therapy in cancer care, from preserving strength and function during treatment to finding ways of staying active that feel realistic and achievable day to day. You'll hear how exercise can be used to manage side effects, improve recovery, and support overall well-being, even through the most demanding stages of treatment. For Kirsten, Pat's support was another way of keeping her body capable and her spirit engaged in the things that she valued most. His reflections in this episode highlight how physical care can make a meaningful difference to life with cancer.
Yeah, my name's Patrick Lynch. I am a physiotherapist and exercise scientist. I work at a place called Be Well, and at Be Well we look at helping people change their lifestyle to change their life.
Got it. And what was your relationship with Kirsten?
So I was Kirsten's physiotherapist. So I worked with her closely in terms of building an exercise routine and also looking at how her lifestyle can be modified to kind of get her where she wants to be. So with Kirsten, obviously she came to us because she had trouble exercising and knowing when to exercise, how to exercise and who to do it with. So she sought professional advice, which was...
Got it. Yeah. And for someone who has cancer, what does that look like in, say, seeking advice from a physio, like I say, or even just doing exercise? Okay,
so people with cancer have a multitude of different problems. So it could be problems related to the treatment they're having, it could be pain, it could be fatigue related, it could be family issues or even, depression or anxiety about, what's happening now or what might happen in the future.
And when you're putting together an exercise plan or working with someone who has cancer, what's different to just doing like something regularly?
Okay, so cancer, as I said before, it can cause fatigue, and that's a big one. Okay, so people with cancer will be more likely to experience feelings of tiredness, dizziness, lethargy. Okay, they might have issues with balance, and this can be related to, strength.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone who is dealing with cancer has strength problems because of muscle wasting. Okay, it might be peripheral neuropathy where they're not feeling like they can, manage on their feet. It could be things like problems to do with chemotherapy that they're experiencing, which can be peripheral neuropathy as well, or things to do with radiation, which can cause problems with all types of things like pain. So when you're creating a program, you need to take all these things into consideration.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You mentioned before too, like helping someone choose who to work with?
Yep.
Like, do all physios see cancer patients?
No, not all physios see cancer patients. It does take a bit of training, but not so much specific training in cancer itself, but more so dealing with people and all the things that come with it. So, as I mentioned before, it's not just purely physical. It can be emotional, social, and things like that as well.
What about with breast cancer? Is there anything specific about breast cancer that you're taking into consideration?
A big issue with breast cancer patients is lymphedema. So that's where you get a decrease in the action of the lymphatic system in terms of bringing swelling back to the heart, which can result in increased circumference or increased weight of the limbs, especially in the upper limbs. So the hands might get heavier, thicker, and that can lead to other problems as well.
I'm thinking too that someone who might have breast cancer, you want to get the best you can out of the physical side of things, because then you've got all that knock-on effect. Because you mentioned the emotional side of things, so that's interesting that you as in say the exercise and the physical role, you're also thinking about all the other implications as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fatigue happens for a lot of reasons. Yeah. So fatigue is the big one. You probably mentioned that already a few times. And that can be because someone's literal capacity, their ability to do things is reduced. Okay, so if your capacity is high, then getting out of a chair is not hard. But if your capacity is so low that getting out of a chair is 99% of your effort, then you haven't got very far to fall before you're not going to be able to get up out of that chair. So with fatigue and with strength training in particular, the idea about strength training or doing exercise is to get stronger so that your capacity increases, and therefore doing small things like getting out of a chair or, getting off the toilet aren't as difficult, which then play into, you not have to ask your partner or your friend or whoever else you carer to help you get out of the chair or, do some ADLs, which are activities of daily living.
Ah, got you. And if I'm thinking about, say, the progression of cancer, and then when things get to, say, the more advanced stages of breast cancer, what are the implications then from a physical side of things?
Okay, so with breast cancer, or most cancers in particular, you can get metastases to other parts of the body. So you can get bone metastases, and in Kirsten's case, that did occur, where you'll get changes in bone, where cancer has overtaken that part of like a certain bone. So it might be in your hip, it might be ankle, wherever, the shoulder. Now, this is going to cause a different properties of the bone. So changes to the properties of the bone, where you either have increase in brittleness of the bone or increase in porousness of the bone. So what happens then is it might be more likely to fracture, which is known as a pathological fracture, or a fracture that wouldn't occur in a normal healthy bone.
Yeah. Does everyone who is diagnosed with cancer need physiotherapy?
Physiotherapy, no, but exercise, yes. So exercise has huge benefits in treating people with cancer, not in terms of acting on the cancer itself, although there is some evidence saying that it does decrease your chance of getting cancer again. But it is hugely important in staying healthy, not only to deal with the cancer you have, but to deal with the treatment you might be getting or the treatment you're going to get. So if you're better going into your chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, then you're going to be much better coming out of it.
And say someone has been diagnosed but they haven't exercised for a while, what would you say is the best place to start?
So the best place to start is by talking to your oncologist. Okay, sometimes you might not have clearance to exercise, and I can go into more of that detail if you like. So biggest thing would be blood cells counts, and recent surgery. That might be the biggest reason why you can't exercise. And then once you get clearance, you want to consult someone who is an expert in not only exercise, but exercise in a clinical population, which I think is the big difference. So you could go to your local gym and see a PT, and there's nothing wrong with that generally, but they won't generally be skilled in, say, dealing with a person with cancer. Now, the big difference is that myself or other medical professionals or health professionals do have those skills. So seeing someone with either experience in dealing with cancer is the best place to start, like a physiotherapist or exercise physiologist is also well trained.
Yeah, got you. And you mentioned that, some of the reasons why you might not be able to do exercise. I think you said surgery and white blood count.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so lots of different reasons for not exercising, so not being able to exercise, I should say. So blood test results, for example, or blood results. So you might have lower red blood cells, which means that you're going to have less carrying capacity of oxygen throughout the system. Okay, so what that means is you're going to have lower oxygen, which can lead to fatigue, syncope, so like shortness of breath, things like that. You might have white blood cell count reduction, which is going to increase your ability, decrease your ability to deal with infection. So if you're in a big gym environment, okay, and you go in and, it's the middle of winter and people are sick, okay, you're going to be more susceptible to catching a cold, which is then going to affect your ability to deal with that cold and maybe get more sick and then deal with your other treatment. So there's platelet counts in your blood. So platelets help your blood clot. So if you if you are to have an accident in the gym and you don't have a high platelet count, then you are more likely to bleed and bleed for longer and more profusely. So there's plenty of things to think about, but by finding somebody who is experienced in dealing with your disease, so cancer in this regard, then they can do the thinking for you because they're experienced.
It sounds like there's so many different variables, and from your side, it's not like, you can pull out, here's my standard routine for someone with cancer. Obviously, it's you might be working with the care team or with different clinicians to then determine what's going on to be able to then really tailor something that would be suited to that particular patient. Are there ever, I'm hazarding a guess here, but are there ever times when perhaps family might be particularly motivated to, bring the patient in for, say, exercise treatment or physiotherapy, but the patient is perhaps less motivated or finding it challenging? Because from what I know, from an exercise point of view, you need a level of motivation, there's a lot of energy expenditure, and it's that can be easier said than done.
Yeah, definitely. In Kirsten's case, not so much, but in general, definitely. In breast cancer, obviously, the 99%, or I'm not sure the exact number, but most of the people who have it are women. And with that, generally are the people who are taking care of their family.
Yes.
As a generalization, but most of the people that I see, that happens. Therefore, they don't want to leave their family or think that their family can't look after themselves without them. So they might put themselves dead last, which is often after the dog or the cat in the house. So some family members might come to myself or call me and say, "Oh, well, Kirsten's feeling fatigued, tired. Can you encourage her just to keep coming in because we know how much better she is for it?"
Yeah.
Or the family member, not necessarily Kirsten, talking about Kirsten, but
yeah. So I'm thinking with a patient with, say, advanced cancer or metastases, and it starts to impact other parts of the body, does that limit the things that they can do from a physiotherapy or exercise perspective?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of providing physiotherapy care to people with bone metastases, for example, as mentioned, these will decrease the strength of the bone. Now, this might then cause you to have a pathological fracture. So things like jumping, running, shearing force exercises can be kind of a big no-no for most people with these bone metastases, especially if it is fairly advanced and they're in multiple areas. So, for example, in the lower back, if you've got a metastasis that's pushing on the spinal cord, okay, things like flexion, so bending forward, might be problematic for the patient. where the spinal cord gets compressed, and then you might get decrease in sensitivity. Right, and if done prolonged periods of time, or if it shifts, can cause paralysis, and you don't want to be dealing with that post getting through your cancer treatment. Unfortunately, it's not a one size fits all. So you might have a spinal metastasis, so bone metastasis, and flexion will be good for you. And bending the opposite way, so bending back, like doing the limbo, would be bad for you. So that's why seeing a physio who is experienced in how the body moves and assessment and treatment of that movement, either dysfunctional or problem, is really important, as opposed to seeing someone who just will give you the stock standard cookbook approach to it.
So one thing I've learned about Kirsten is that what she built around her and what was important even before breast cancer was the village she built around her community and friends and family. I'm going to hazard a guess and think that exercise and physiotherapy doesn't have to be a solo sport. Is there opportunity to bring in friends and family in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. In Kirsten's case, she definitely brought people along with her, whether that was people she found in the gym and said, hey, come and do my clinical class with me, come join Pat, because she had the option to do it by herself, but she chose to do it in a class format. So that might not be for everybody, but definitely yields better results in terms of, if you have a community around you and everyone is not necessarily focused on your success, but is rooting for you, then it can help you not only stick at it, but be successful when you do stick at it. So at Be Well, we have not only exercise, but we have recovery assets. So, often Kirsten would bring her son along to have a sauna. Or we have contrast bars where, there is some evidence around, cancer treatment and contrast bars, but she was in the cold bath and her husband, Shane, would be in the hot bath. Okay, then they'd change over, but Shane wouldn't get out of the hot bath. So yeah, it all doesn't all need to be hard work. You can have a bit of fun with your rehab. And I think being around people you love and people who care for you, definitely makes life a lot more fun.
Yeah. And if I was to think about how different parts of the care team interact, and also how exercise might impact positively and potentially negatively the body and treatment, do you find that with increased exercise, then you're engaging a lot with, say, the nutritionist or other parts to make sure that everything is in balance?
Yeah, definitely. You want to have patient-centered care. So it's not about what I want. It's about what's best for Kirsten. So she was going through a bunch of different treatments, some classical and some not so typical. So it is really important that you liaise with, say, the dietitian or nutritionist, with the oncologist if you need to, with other members of her team. So that can be the family as well. I know Shane would sometimes come in and her kids would sometimes come in and be like, "Oh, Mum's not feeling 100% today." So it's not only just the treating people that are important. It's everybody, and the most important person is obviously the person you're treating, which in this case was Kirsten.
And finally, Pat, is there any general advice or things that you would share with someone who might have cancer and is looking to seek out some exercise?
Yeah, so my final bit of advice would be get confirmation from your oncologist that it's okay. Find a place that you will enjoy going to. Okay, so the biggest thing is feeling like you're spending your time wisely. So people that come to me, they want to enjoy it. Okay, most people say to me that their favorite part of the program was when it ended, but they want to enjoy it while they're there as well, and at least look forward to it at the start.
Yes.
Okay, so finding a place you enjoy going to is really important, and with that you'll enjoy it more if you feel like you're getting the benefits. So seeking out someone who does have experience and is somewhat passionate about treating people with cancer is also going to yield better results.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, it's been great to have a chat about just another important part of the picture for someone who might have breast cancer and for Kirsten's story. So I really appreciate you making the time.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Kirsten Myers Story. We hope this conversation got you thinking, or perhaps inspired, about living with courage, clarity, and connection. By sharing Kirsten's story, we hope that you or someone you love feel more informed, supported, and empowered along the way. You'll find more conversations in this series, and please share this episode with someone who'll get some value from it. Through these conversations and the village around her, Kirsten's story continues. If you'd like updates and more information, there'll be some links in the show notes of this episode and ways to continue Kirsten's legacy. I'm Peter Birch, and this is Kirsten's Story.